Welcome once again to the BookMind channel. I'm Sierra.
And I'm David.
Hello, everyone.
We do deep dive conversations on famous English books, and today we're getting into something a bit different.
Yeah, it feels less like a traditional book, one you read cover to cover, more like a highly curated toolkit, maybe, an operating manual for life.
Exactly. Today we're unpacking the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, Wealth and Happiness. And it's not a story, it's this compilation, aphorisms, bits from interviews, just distilled wisdom.
Right. And the listener who suggested this, they were basically asking for the highlights, the shortcuts to the big ideas on living well, building wealth. So our job today is to kind of synthesize Naval's thinking into some clear, actionable frameworks for you.
And the Almanac is really neatly divided. It's got two main parts: wealth, how to create it, the outer game, and then happiness, how to cultivate it, the inner game.
Makes sense to tackle them in that order. Yeah, let's start with wealth. How does Naval even define success in the material world? Because he kicks off by drawing some really important lines in the sand.
He really does. And this first distinction is, well, it's absolutely crucial. If you miss this, you could genuinely spend your whole life chasing the wrong thing. We tend to lump wealth, money, and status together.
Yeah, we use them interchangeably.
But for Naval, they are fundamentally different. Pursuing each one leads to vastly different places.
Okay, so let's break that down. It sounds foundational. What is wealth in his view? And why does he see it as, better than just chasing money or status?
So wealth, very specifically, is assets that earn while you sleep. That's the key phrase.
While you sleep.
Right. Think businesses you own, software that's running, investments, intellectual property, real estate maybe, things that generate value even when you're not, actively punching a clock.
Okay, so it's about the system, not just the effort.
Exactly. The goal isn't just having stuff. It's the freedom that comes from that system. It's autonomy, durable value creation that isn't tied directly to your time.
Durable, right. That seems important too. So if wealth is the asset, the thing earning while you sleep, what's money then? Just cash?
Money is basically the transfer mechanism. It's how we swap time and wealth around. It's liquidity, a tool.
A tool, okay.
Yeah, a necessary one, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like a temporary claim on someone else's time or resources. But it's secondary. It's not the source of the value. The wealth is. If all you're doing is trying to stack up dollars by working more hours,
You're stuck on the treadmill.
you're stuck. You might have money, sure, but you don't have that freedom, that autonomy that comes from owning the asset itself. You're still trading time.
Okay, that distinction's clear. Wealth is the asset, money is the transfer. What about status? Because, especially now, it feels like status is the big game everyone's playing, consciously or not. Why is Naval so down on chasing status?
Well, status is just your rank in the social hierarchy, right? How you compare to others. And Naval's point is pretty blunt. Status games are usually zero-sum.
Meaning if I win, you lose. Or at least you don't win as much.
Exactly. If my status goes up, yours, relatively speaking, might drop. It forces comparison. It requires external validation. What do other people think of me? And because it's relative and external.
It never ends. There's always someone higher up.
Always. Or the ladder itself is kind of imaginary, built on shifting sands. So seeking status is inherently unreliable for genuine, deep, lasting fulfillment. It's a recipe for feeling inadequate, frankly.
That really lands. So, okay, the core mission, according to Naval, isn't get the highest salary, because that's just trading your limited time. It's achieve autonomy, own things, equity, assets.
Precisely. It's about decoupling, breaking that link between your income and your direct linear effort. The second you trade time for money, 1 hour for X dollars, you basically put a ceiling on your potential earnings.
Right, because there are only so many hours in a day.
Exactly. Wealth generation, his way, is about building systems. Systems that can scale way beyond your personal time and energy limits. It's a fundamental mind shift, moving from thinking like a worker to thinking like an owner.
Okay, so decoupling time from income, building these scalable systems, that's the goal. How does he suggest we actually do that? It's not just start a business, right? He seems to have specific ingredients in mind.
Oh yeah, very specific. And the first, maybe the most foundational combo, is specific knowledge and authenticity.
Okay, let's dig into specific knowledge. He says you can't really learn it in school, so what is it? And how do you figure out what yours is?
Specific knowledge. It's the stuff that's kind of unique to you. Skills or insights that are hard to teach, hard to automate, hard to just hire someone else cheaply to do.
Yeah.
It often sits at the intersection of your genuine curiosity, your natural talents, maybe even your unique background or experiences.
It's just not about getting another degree necessarily.
Yeah. Not necessarily, no. It's more about following what genuinely fascinates you. Going down those rabbit holes because you want to, not because you're forced to. You often learn it through practice, through tinkering, through doing. It might feel relatively easy, even fun for you.
But it looks like magic to other people.
That's a great way to put it,
Yeah.
because it's rare and valuable.
Okay, so find that thing you're uniquely good at or fascinated by. How does authenticity connect to that? Why is just being you so important?
Because it makes you inimitable. It creates what Naval calls a monopoly of one. If you try to build wealth doing something generic, something anyone could do, you're competing with everyone. Price becomes the main factor.
A race to the bottom.
Pretty much. But when you combine your specific knowledge with your genuine personality, your unique voice, your perspective, maybe your weird sense of humor, whatever it is, nobody can replicate you.
So you're not easily replaceable.
Exactly. You can command a premium because there's no direct substitute. You perform best and create the most unique value when you lean into what makes you, well, you. Don't try to be someone else.
Right. Build on your weirdness almost. Okay, so you have this unique value proposition of specific knowledge plus authenticity. How do you amplify that? This brings us to leverage, which seems critical in his model.
Absolutely critical. Leverage is the force multiplier. It's what takes your judgment, your specific knowledge, your unique output, and scales it massively. Without leverage, your impact is limited by your own direct effort.
And he talks about different kinds of leverage, right? Some old, some new.
Yeah, the classic forms are labor, having people work for you, and capital, using money to make more money. And those are powerful, obviously, but they often require permission. You need someone to give you the capital, or you need to manage a large team, which comes with its own complexities and gatekeepers.
Right. Not everyone can just raise millions or hire 100 people tomorrow.
Exactly. And that's why Naval puts such a huge emphasis on what he calls permissionless leverage. The forms of leverage you can use without needing anyone's approval.
Okay. And those are
The big two he highlights are code and media.
software and content, basically.
Basically, yeah. Think about it. You write a piece of software, one's code, and it can potentially serve millions, even billions of users, 24/7 at almost zero extra cost per user. That's insane leverage.
And media, like podcasts, books, videos.
Same idea. You create a piece of content once, a podcast episode, an article, a video course, and it can be consumed by an unlimited number of people, anytime, anywhere, again, at very little marginal cost.
The key is that scalability, the nonlinear return on effort.
Precisely. Nonlinearity is the magic word. One unit of effort writing that code, recording that podcast can generate thousands or millions of units of value or impact. And crucially, you don't need a board of directors or a venture capitalist to say yes before you start building code or creating media online. That's the permissionless part.
That really does change the game. It democratizes leverage in a way. But using that kind of leverage, putting yourself out there with code or media, it feels like it requires, well, sticking your neck out.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And that leads directly to the next principle: accountability and ownership.
Meaning you have to take the heat if it goes wrong.
You have to take the heat and you have to take the credit. If you want the massive upside that comes from leverage, the potential for nonlinear wealth, you need to put your name on the line. Take risks under your own brand, your own reputation.
So no hiding behind a big corporation or anonymity.
Ideally, no. Or at least be accountable for the specific system you build. When things go well, because you have ownership, ideally equity in the venture, you capture a significant chunk of the value created. When things go poorly, well, you own that too. You take the hit, you learn the lesson, you adjust.
And that ownership, that equity is the mechanism that rewards you for taking that risk with your specific knowledge and leverage.
Perfectly put. Equity aligns incentives. You're rewarded for your judgment and the risks you took, amplified by the leverage you employed.
Okay, so we have specific knowledge, authenticity, permissionless leverage, and accountability ownership. But Naval also stresses that this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes time.
Oh, absolutely. Which brings us to playing long-term games with long-term people.
What does he mean by long-term games?
It means thinking in decades, not quarters or years.
Yeah.
Building real wealth, durable systems, strong reputations, that takes time. You need to interact with the same people repeatedly.
So it's about relationships and trust.
Exactly. Trust compounds just like capital. If people know you're in it for the long haul, that you deal fairly, that you deliver value consistently, they'll want to play long-term games with you. Opportunities open up, partnerships form, information flows more freely. Short-term thinking, trying to extract maximum value from every single transaction,
Burns
bridges, kills trust, and ultimately limits your potential. Reputation is incredibly powerful leverage in itself, but it's built slowly, brick by brick, over years of consistent ethical behavior.
which requires patience. You can't rush trust. And you probably can't rush building these leverage systems either.
Which is the next point, patience and iteration. Because you're likely building something new, using your specific knowledge in a unique way, it's probably not going to work perfectly the first time, or the 10th time.
Right. Failure is part of the process.
A huge part. Wealth creation, especially the kind Naval talks about, is rarely this instant, overnight success story. It looks like that from the outside sometimes, but underneath.
Our years of trying things, failing, learning, tweaking.
Exactly. You need immense patience.
Yeah.
You need to stay consistent, keep generating ideas, keep running experiments, keep learning from the feedback. Iteration is key. You build, you measure, you learn, you rebuild, over and over.
And that ties into luck, doesn't it? He acknowledges luck plays a role, which feels honest.
Yeah, he's very upfront about luck. You can't control it directly. But you can influence your odds of getting lucky. You can shape your luck surface area, so to speak.
How? By just trying more things.
Partly. By being active,
Yeah.
by putting yourself out there, by taking those accountable risks, by building things, by meeting people involved in long-term games, and especially by creating optionality.
Optionality, like having multiple options.
Kind of. It's about setting things up so you have the right, but not the obligation, to take advantage of opportunities if they arise. Running lots of small experiments, trying different angles with your code or media, it increases the chances that one of them will hit, that you'll stumble into a lucky break.
So you're not just waiting for luck. You're actively creating the conditions where luck is more likely to find you and where you can actually capitalize on it when it does.
Precisely. You build machine the specific knowledge, the leverage, the reputation, so that when a lucky event happens, you're positioned to amplify it massively.
Okay, so we've got the what specific knowledge and authenticity, and the how leverage, accountability, long-term thinking, patience, iteration. But Naval seems to argue that the real bottleneck, the thing that makes the biggest difference, isn't just working harder within that system, it's judgment and decision-making.
Yes, this is huge. He basically says that in an age of infinite leverage, judgment becomes the critical skill. Your decisions dictate the direction and effectiveness of your leverage.
So working incredibly hard on the wrong thing is
Right.
pointless.
Or even counterproductive. What's really fascinating is his idea that good decisions compound, just like money in a bank account or trust in a relationship.
How does a decision compound?
Think about it. If you make a slightly better decision today, choosing the right market to enter, picking the right co-founder, deciding which feature to build first, the downstream effects 5 or 10 years later can be exponentially better than if you just work 10% harder executing a slightly worse decision.
Wow, okay. So the quality of the initial decision has massive leverage itself. How do we get better at making these high leverage decisions? He mentions mental models and inversion.
Right. Mental models are like tools in your thinking toolbox. Simplified ways of understanding how the world works, often borrowed from different fields, physics, economics, biology, psychology, things like supply and demand, probability, confirmation bias, network effects. Having a diverse toolkit helps you see problems from multiple angles.
And inversion. That sounds interesting. Turning things upside down.
Pretty much. It's a really powerful idea, often associated with Charlie Munger, but deeply ingrained in Stoic philosophy too. Instead of asking, how do I achieve success, you ask, what actions would guarantee failure?
Okay. Avoid the stupid stuff first.
Exactly. Often the path to success is unclear. There are many ways. But the paths to guaranteed failure are sometimes much easier to identify.
Can you give an example? Like if I'm starting that venture we talked about.
Okay, instead of, how do I make this a billion-dollar company?
Yeah.
You invert, what would absolutely kill this company? The answers might be obvious.
Yeah.
Running out of cash, hiring the wrong team, building something nobody wants, getting into legal trouble, ignoring customer feedback, burning out.
So by identifying and rigorously avoiding those guaranteed failure modes,
You significantly increase your odds of not failing, which is often the first step towards succeeding. You're clearing the path by removing the biggest obstacles first. It simplifies the problem.
That makes a lot of sense. And to use those models effectively, to practice inversion honestly, you need to see reality clearly, which Naval argues requires shedding ego.
Absolutely fundamental. Your ego, your identity, your attachment to being right or looking smart is the biggest filter distorting your perception of reality.
How so?
If your identity is wrapped up in believing a certain strategy will work, you'll unconsciously ignore evidence that contradicts it. You'll double down on bad decisions because admitting you were wrong feels like a threat to your self-worth.
Ouch. Yeah, that happens.
Shedding ego means being willing to be wrong. It means prioritizing truth over looking good. It means updating your beliefs when new evidence comes in, even if it's uncomfortable. It's about intellectual honesty, which is the bedrock of good judgment.
And clear judgment, seeing reality clearly, making those good decisions that requires intense concentration, which leads us to focus. In a world designed to distract us constantly.
Focus is the modern superpower, maybe. Naval talks about achieving minimum viable focus, but really, it's about deep, sustained concentration on the things that matter. All the leverage in the world is useless if your attention is fragmented.
He also says your main work should ideally feel like play. How does that connect to focus?
If your work taps into your specific knowledge, your genuine curiosity, it often won't feel like grueling work, even if it's difficult. It feels like play, like solving a puzzle you're intrinsically motivated to solve.
And when it feels like play to you?
You can sustain focus for much longer periods without burning out. You get into that flow state. And that sustained focus, applied to high-leverage activities, guided by good judgment, is where the magic happens. When work feels like play to you but looks like work to others, you have a massive advantage.
But achieving that state means saying no. A lot.
Ruthlessly. Prioritization is the other side of the focus coin. You have to identify the very few things that truly matter, the high-leverage activities, and aggressively ignore or delegate almost everything else.
All the noise, the emails, the meetings, the notifications.
All the stuff that feels urgent but isn't actually important in the long run. Saying no protects your focus, which protects your ability to apply judgment and leverage effectively. Focus isn't just about what you do, it's mostly about what you don't do.
Okay, so let's try to tie this wealth section together. It's like a system. Find your unique edge, specific knowledge plus authenticity. Amplify it massively, permissionless leverage. Steer it wisely, judgment plus focus, shedding ego. Take responsibility, accountability plus ownership. And play the long game, patience plus long-term view.
That's a fantastic summary. That's the blueprint for the outer game. But building all that, achieving that external success, does it automatically make you happy? Naval's answer is a clear no.
Right. Which brings us perfectly to the second half of the Almanack. Okay, let's pivot. We've talked about building wealth, the external systems. Now let's get into the inner game, happiness. Because, as you just said, achieving financial freedom doesn't guarantee internal peace. If you're rich but miserable, what's the point?
Exactly. And Naval approaches happiness very differently than most people. It's not something you find or achieve through external circumstances.
So you can't buy it, you can't win it.
He argues it's a skill, something you learn, something you practice, something you choose, primarily by managing your internal state, particularly your desires.
Okay, a skill. That's a really powerful framing. It puts the control back in your hands, doesn't it?
Completely. If happiness depends on external events, getting the promotion, buying the house, finding the perfect partner, you're always going to be chasing the next thing, vulnerable to circumstances. But if it's a skill you cultivate internally,
You can work on it every day, regardless of what's happening outside.
precisely. And the core mechanism for this internal management is understanding what he calls the desire contract.
Yes, this is one of his most famous lines. How does it go again?
Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
Wow. Just hearing it like that, it's stark.
It is stark, but think about it. The moment you intensely desire something you don't have, you create a gap between your current reality and your desired reality. That gap is a form of unhappiness, a tension, a dissatisfaction.
So the very act of wanting is, in a way, choosing unhappiness in the present.
That's the argument. If you assume happiness or peace is your natural default state, the state you're in when nothing is missing, then desire is the main force that pulls you out of that state.
Okay, so the path to more happiness isn't necessarily getting more things, but wanting fewer things, or wanting things differently.
Primarily, wanting fewer things. It's about minimizing unnecessary desires, recognizing that many of the things we're conditioned to want won't actually bring lasting fulfillment,
All right.
and crucially, actively fighting against the most toxic form of desire, envy.
Comparing yourself to others.
Exactly. Nadel calls envy the silent killer of happiness because it's unwinnable. You're always comparing your messy internal reality to someone else's curated external highlight reel.
Yeah, especially online. It's a recipe for feeling inadequate.
Totally. It's a zero-sum game for your mind. The only healthy comparison, he suggests, is you today versus you yesterday. Are you learning? Are you growing? That's the only comparison that matters.
Okay, so reduce desire, eliminate envy. That feels like it naturally leads towards being more present.
Definitely. This ties directly into presence and acceptance. If you're constantly desiring something in the future or regretting something in the past, you're missing the only time you actually exist, which is right now.
The present moment.
Yeah. Contentment, he argues, often comes from recognizing that this moment right here, right now, is actually complete in itself. It doesn't need anything added or subtracted to be okay. Obviously not in extreme situations, but in the general course of life.
That sounds peaceful, but hard to achieve when the mind is always racing.
It is hard, which is where acceptance comes in. This draws a lot from Stoicism and Buddhism. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's not giving up. It's aligning with reality as it is, especially the parts you cannot change.
Like acknowledging what's outside your control.
Exactly. Resisting reality, wishing things were different when you have no power to change them, is just generating friction and suffering for yourself. It's wasted energy. Acceptance means letting go of that resistance.
Reducing the emotional drag.
Beautifully put, yes. It conserves your mental and emotional energy for the things you can influence. It's about recognizing reality, not necessarily liking it, but working with it instead of fighting against it.
These are profound philosophical ideas. But just thinking about them isn't enough, right? Naval emphasizes actual practices, inner habits.
Yes, just like building wealth requires consistent action, cultivating happiness requires consistent practice. It's like training a muscle.
And the main workout he prescribes seems to be meditation or observation.
Right. And this doesn't have to mean sitting on a cushion chanting for hours, though it can. It's more about the daily practice of simply watching your own mind.
Observing your thoughts without getting carried away by them.
Exactly. Seeing thoughts, feelings, sensations arise and pass away without judging them, without identifying with them, without reacting automatically. Just noticing, there's anxiety. Okay, a thought about work. Letting them be clouds passing in the sky of your awareness.
Developing that distance, that space between stimulus and response.
That's the key. That space allows you to choose your response, rather than being driven by automatic reactions, desires, or fears. Even just 10-20 minutes a day of quiet observation can start to build that mental muscle.
And underpinning any mental practice, just like with wealth creation, is physical well-being.
Non-negotiable, foundational health. Naval is adamant about this. You can't easily separate mind and body. If your physical systems are out of whack, poor sleep, bad nutrition, no movement trying to achieve mental peace is like trying to run uphill through mud.
Sleep seems particularly important to him.
He calls it maybe the most important habit. Deep, restorative sleep is critical for emotional regulation, mental clarity, decision-making, basically everything we've been talking about for both wealth and happiness. Diet and exercise are crucial too, obviously, keeping the body and brain functioning optimally.
Okay, so meditation, health, anything else on the practice side, it seems related to focus again.
Yes. Pruning the noise. Just like you need focus to build wealth, you need to reduce mental clutter to find peace.
Saying no again.
Saying no. To distractions, yes, but also to internal impulses, to negative thought patterns, to unnecessary information overload. Every time you reactively check your phone or get drawn into online arguments or consume low-quality information.
You're letting external things dictate your internal state.
Exactly. You're giving away control of your mind. Cultivating inner peace requires consciously choosing what you allow into your mental space. It's about simplifying, reducing inputs, and protecting your internal environment just as much as your external time. Discipline in habits leads to discipline in thought.
Let's try to bring these two big themes, wealth and happiness, together. Naval talks a lot about freedom as the ultimate goal, but he makes a distinction, right, between two kinds of freedom.
He does, and it neatly connects the outer and inner games. There's what you might call freedom into...
Like the freedom to do things.
Yeah, freedom to travel, to buy things, to choose your projects, to not worry about bills. This is largely what wealth provides. It's valuable, no doubt, options.
But there's another kind.
Yes, and he suggests it's the more profound, more important kind. Freedom from.
Freedom from what?
Freedom from things that constrain your inner state. Freedom from obligation, from expectations, yours or others. Freedom from fear, from anger, from envy, from the need for external validation. Freedom from your own compulsive thoughts or desires.
Ah, so that's the freedom, the inner game, the happiness practices cultivate.
Exactly. It's internal freedom. The ability to navigate the world without being constantly yanked around by your own reactivity or external pressures.
So the ultimate goal isn't just having the option to do anything, but having the inner peace to not need to do things just to feel okay, or to not be compelled by things that don't align with your values.
Beautifully said. It connects to the idea of choosing yourself, living authentically according to your own internal compass and values, not just following the default societal script or chasing external rewards you don't truly care about. Internal freedom is the foundation for that.
He even brings in mortality as a tool to help achieve that clarity and freedom, which sounds a bit grim, but seems functional for him.
It's actually a classic philosophical technique, memento mori, remember death. He uses contemplating the inevitability of death not to be morbid, but as a focusing lens.
How does that work?
Realizing that your time is finite, that you will eventually lose everything, has a way of stripping away the trivial concerns, the petty anxieties, the status games. It forces you to ask, what really matters? What's truly important in the limited time I have?
So it's an inversion technique for life itself, what's truly essential versus what's just noise.
Precisely. It reinforces the value of the present moment, because it's ultimately all you have, and helps prioritize deep fulfillment and authentic living over chasing temporary external validation. It's a powerful perspective shifter.
Okay, connecting all this, the book blends the outer game, wealth, and the inner game, happiness, but there seems to be a real tension there. Building wealth often requires intense ambition, drive, desire. Cultivating happiness, as we discussed, seems to require acceptance, presence, minimizing desire. How do you reconcile those? That feels like the core challenge.
That is the core challenge, the paradox at the heart of living a full life, maybe. Ambition pulls you forward. Desire fuels action. Peace requires letting go, accepting the now. How do you do both?
Yeah. Does Naval offer a way to balance that?
I think the synthesis lies in a couple of areas we touched on. First, strive through play. If your ambition is directed towards things that align with your specific knowledge and genuine curiosity, the striving itself becomes intrinsically rewarding. The process is the reward, not just the distant outcome.
So the work itself brings joy, reducing the need for the outcome to deliver all the happiness.
Right, you're pulled by curiosity, not just pushed by external desire or fear. Second, cultivate detachment from the outcomes. This comes from the acceptance and observation practices. You can strive intensely, play hard, build amazing things.
But your fundamental sense of well-being isn't totally dependent on whether you succeed or fail in that specific venture.
Exactly. You give it your all, you play to win, but you maintain that inner equanimity cultivated through the happiness practices.
Yeah.
You operate effectively in the world without your inner peace being entirely of the world. It's a subtle but crucial balance.
That makes sense. Drive fueled by internal joy, balanced by internal peace. Okay, for you listening, the most important part is always, what can you actually do with this? Let's try to summarize the key actionable takeaways, Naval's routes of engagement.
Yeah, let's distill it into a practical checklist covering both sides. Maybe 7 key steps.
Sounds good. Step 1, focusing on the wealth side. Really clarify your specific knowledge and intrinsic interests. What are you uniquely good at? What do you do that feels like play? What do people ask your help with?
Step 2, actively seek systems that scale. Look for opportunities to apply permissionless leverage code, media, content, products to decouple your time from your earnings. Think about how to serve many, not just one-to-one.
3, take accountability and ownership. Put your name on your work. Take risks, ideally with equity, so you capture the upside and own the downside. Play long-term games with trustworthy people.
4, shifting towards clarity. Develop mental clarity and better decision filters. Collect useful mental models. Practice inversion, ask, how could this fail? And critically, work on shedding your ego to see reality more clearly.
5, firmly in the inner game. Cultivate inner habits for happiness. Start small, but be consistent. Daily observation or meditation. Prioritize foundational health, especially sleep, but also good nutrition and regular movement.
Yeah.
These aren't optional, they're essential.
6, consciously limit desires and comparison. Practice gratitude for what you have. Notice when envy arises and actively choose not to engage with it. Try to appreciate the fullness of the present moment.
And finally, step 7, bridging both worlds. Remove distractions and simplify. Be ruthless about protecting your focus and your peace. Say no often. Reduce inputs. Control your information diet and your environment.
Those 7 steps, practiced consistently, really encapsulate the integrated approach Naval lays out.
Yeah, this whole deep dive really shows the Almanac isn't just a collection of quotes. It's a cohesive operating system for life. It's about building assets that work for you while you sleep and building peace within yourself while you're awake.
And crucially, as you said, they're not sequential. You don't get rich first and then work on happiness. You have to practice both concurrently. The inner game supports the outer game, and vice versa.
So the final thought for you, the listener, building on that. Naval argues wealth takes time and happiness is a skill learned over time. So what's one small daily habit of nonlinear thinking you could implement starting today?
Yeah, think about it. One small shift. Maybe it's about how you approach building leverage in your work. Or maybe it's about how you manage a specific desire or practice acceptance. What's one thing you can start doing consistently that could fundamentally reshape your odds, your trajectory for both wealth and happiness over the next decade?
That's a really powerful question to end on, a fantastic way to wrap up this conversation.
It covers a lot, this book.
It really does. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the collected wisdom of Naval Ravikant. This was Sira.
And David on the BookMind channel.
Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you found this useful. It helps us keep making these deep dives.
We'd appreciate it. And we really want to hear from you on this one.
Yes. Based on everything we discussed, what part of Naval's philosophy do you personally find the most challenging to put into practice in your daily life? Is it the relentless quest for permissionless leverage and playing the long game? Or is it the inner work, the radical acceptance, the minimizing of desire, the present moment focus?
Which side of that coin feels harder to live by day to day? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. We're genuinely curious to hear your experiences.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.